Productions with the latest news, insights, and behind-the-scenes action from the world of stock car racing. Whether you're a die-hard fan or a casual observer, we're bringing you the checkered flag and coverage. So buckle up, grab your favorite drink, and get ready to make the next left turn with us, where every lap is an adventure.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to the Variety Sports Network. This is The Next Left Turn. Aaron, how are you, sir?
Doing all right. I thought Hendricks Motorsports going to get the win today, but I was wrong.
I mean, with the performance that Larson put on today, I thought for sure he was going to get it. But, you know, we've seen a lot of times this year where the car that has been strongest for the first 2/3 of the race isn't the strongest in the last third. So I'm not totally surprised that it didn't go his favor when all is said and done. But we've seen that a lot this year where a car goes out and tears it up for, like I said, the first 2/3 of the race, and then something happens in the last stage and things get a little hairy and they lose it.
Oh, yeah.
It happened today.
Yeah, I figured a lot of drivers were going to be like just pushing extra hard today because it's the last race of the season, obviously. So,
yep.
I mean, but then again, when I saw Larson winning, I was like, all right. That's how we're going to end it.
I thought for sure, man. I was like, all right, well, he's going to have the lead in the playoffs and he's going to end the regular season and get the regular season. I was like, for as good as he is, looking back to, you know, hindsight's 2020, he causes a lot of accidents. He either wins typically or he wrecks.
Yeah.
Or something happens. And there's really no in between.
Really and when he was with Hamlin for a little bit, I was like, oh, geez, like what's going to happen over here?
I thought for sure we were going to get action there. I was kind of hoping for some action there. But that's neither here nor there. We're here to break down the Southern 500 at Darlington, the regular season finale. Josh Edwards, as always. Aaron, the cast man, is with us as well. Good race today. Very good race. Very competitive race. Lots of fun. Tons of action without tons of cautions. You know, I thought right off the bat, because of how the race started, I figured, there may be 15 cars running around the track at the end of the race. But no, it was a clean race after that for the most part. Didn't see much contact. We saw a lot of brush in the outside wall today, but that's common at Darlington because this track just eats up tires. That's why it is too tough to tame. But I mean, I didn't see anything egregious out there. I didn't see anything off kilter. I thought maybe we'd see more fireworks because it was a win or get in situation. But let's get into the race. We all know that I like to start off by showing the opening lap. I do have that ready here for y'all. So let's get that rocking and rolling. Here we go.
It's time to bring the action at Darlington Raceway. It is time to continue one of the best traditions in racing. It's time for the Southern 500. Listen to that awesome roar. Wallace, and then here comes Larson. Hosemar's been shuffled back a couple of positions as Reddick moves his way up to third. It's time to bring the action at Darlington.
Good, clean start. Wallace was dominant to start the race. That guy was on the move. He was dialed in. But again, like we see a lot of times when we start these night races earlier in the day, you may be dialed in at the start, but are you going to be able to handle the track conditions changing as the temps cool down, the lights come on, and all these other factors play into it? I mean,
that's why she's the lady in black.
Yeah, I mean, she's just a nasty beast. I mean, we see it at other tracks too, especially super speedways. But we know typically when it gets darker, they get more grip and tires last longer and you get faster. Your tires don't, I mean, they last a little bit longer here at Darlington, but it's not anything in excess, I would say. You know, five laps can make a difference on a set of tires in Darlington when you're talking about pit stops and pushing to the end of the race. So this track is this track is one of the crown jewels. This race is one of the crown jewels of NASCAR. This track is a legend on its own. Aaron, what were you really looking for getting into this race today? Who did you think? Because we didn't do predictions the last few weeks, just because things were getting really crazy. Who did you think was going to win before the race started? I mean, obviously we touched on this. We both kind of thought Larson was going to have it in the bag with as good as his race was. Who were you looking for to win? Who did you want to see win?
Well, I saw, like I said last week on the show, check that out on Next Left Turn, last week's episode of Friday Sports Network. But I think I said, did I say Bubba? I don't remember. But I said it was either going to be Kyle Larson, Denny Hamlin. I said Truex just because he's won it in the past. But that was only in the early Darlington when he wins it. So when I saw the Bubba win the pole, I was like, you know what? He's actually been having a pretty good race this year. So I said maybe he'll win it. So I was thinking Bubba, and then when I saw he won the pole, I was like, okay, that seems about right. And then that's why I thought I was going to win it, and then I didn't expect this person to win it, to be honest.
Yeah, I don't think anybody did. I was looking at Blaney. I thought Blaney was going to be there. I thought Truex was going to be there at the end. No, just because he's been that way all year. You know, he on these kind of types of tracks, he hangs around between 5th and 10th all race long, and then in the third stage, he quietly makes a move up there and goes and makes a run at the end. I don't know. I felt like Blaney had a good chance. I thought Truex, with it being the same thing you were talking about, you know, he's won here before. Yes, it was in the daytime race. It wasn't that race, but he's a veteran. It's his last season. Or last full-time season. We're still going to see him for a few more years, I'm sure. But
they were good
I
for
was really
laps.
expecting I'm getting there. Don't ruin my segue. I thought Larson was definitely going to be there. Hamlin was another one I thought was going to be there just because of their history. And then Rowdy. I thought Rowdy, this was going to be it for him to break the curse of the season. But speaking of Mr. Truex Jr. and Ryan Blaney, Truex makes a boneheaded rookie mistake at this track. He knows better. He drives far too hard down into the turn. He loses the car, touches against William Byron, gets loose, overcorrects, and then ends up taking Ryan Blaney out of the race on the second lap. This is something you don't expect out of Martin Truex Jr. This would be a Hocevar or SVG or maybe even Josh Berry, even though I don't think Berry would even make this mistake. Although he does make mistakes. We'll see that later in the race. But let me give you this clip. This is Truex Jr. making his day much more complicated and stressful than it needed to be, and just hurting Ryan Blaney and defending his championship.
Truex just simply got into the corner too hard for the amount of grip that he had. That's part of this, though. Lap 3, he doesn't really know.
Just a little touch.
Chases the car up the racetrack, makes contact with William Byron, overcorrects the car. Big damage to Blaney.
He wrecks himself because he knew the option 2 was to wreck the 24. That's not Truex's style at all. He didn't want his mistake to affect the 24. Unfortunately, taking himself out got Blaney.
That's one of those wrecks.
And he did call himself an idiot.
Yes, he did on the radio. This is why Truex has grown on me so much. He's a racer that completely takes responsibility for his actions when he screws up. He felt bad for his team. He felt bad for his sponsors. He feels bad for himself. Let's be honest. But it's unfortunate. It's racing. I do have a clip of this from the in-car cameras. So this is Blaney on top, and it's Truex on the bottom. You guys know I'm a fan of these. I like sharing them with you. Blaney's watching it, and he thought for sure that Truex was going to slide down the track, and when he overcorrected, he came back up and took Blaney out. That's just racing. Originally Blaney made the comment that he was hurt. He hurt his wrist and his hands in the accident, but they said he was okay and everything's going to be all right there. Truex checked out perfectly fine as well. So that was how the race started. So my initial reaction was we are going to have cautions everywhere. ends up not going that route. That caution obviously comes out there. Truex and Blaney both end up leaving the race before we even get to the third finished lap. By the time we restart, it's Bubba Wallace and Kyle Larson are up front, and they are running side by side down in turn one. But Wallace clearly had the better car to start this race. He clears Larson and takes off, and then Reddick also clears Larson and moves up into second. These two cars, we know that they're teammates for 23-11. They worked very, very well together. Reddick, obviously, already in the playoffs and contending for the regular season championship. He's going to do whatever he can to get his teammate into the playoffs, and that very clearly was the goal from as soon as these two hooked up. He wasn't fighting Wallace for positioning at all. He was just back there, and you could tell that throughout the race he was going to do whatever he could to keep everybody else away from Wallace if that ended up being the situation that needed to be addressed as the race went on. Did you think they pitted a little bit early to start in stage one? Because I expected the first set of pit stops to come a little bit later.
Yeah, what was it, like lap 36?
38?
Yeah, something like that. I thought
It was
a
early.
little weird. Yeah, I thought it was a little weird for the green light pits. But I didn't really. Did you think it really affected though? Like when they went in early like that? Because it didn't seem like it to me. Like I wasn't sure like the strategy point in that, but I just thought it was a little weird.
It was 115 lap stage.
Yep.
So it sounds like a lot. Because it's Darlington, and Darlington eats tires. So you feel like that's going to be a long one. So when they started taking those pit stops early, I thought, okay, they're going to run this. They're going to have to run this on 2 stops, and they're going to pit again at the stage break. So I figured they're going to run that 36 to 45. We'll see some cars stretch it out, which we did. Who would only take one, who were only pushing to make one pit stop in the stage. But I figured they're going to take that early pit stop. They're going to run a bigger chunk, and then they're going to hope for a yellow flag somewhere with 35 to 50 laps left, and they're going to go stop there and run the end of the stage. We saw a bit of that. We also, like I said, like I just mentioned, we saw a bunch of cars stay out, not go and get tires early and refuel and play the mileage game and the tire game. Up front, originally, I mean, you saw a lot of cars going a lap down just because of the cycling through everything, but I don't think it had a bearing on the outcome of the race, to be honest.
No, I don't think so either.
Enough cautions for it to play out, in my opinion. There was plenty of green flag racing, though. You would have thought it would have more effect. Now that I'm thinking about it, I didn't think about that before I said it on air. So
yeah, mine was a strategy
a
point of view. I was like, I don't understand the strategy doing it so early, because again, like there wasn't a lot of tires getting beat up. I think by the 38th lap, so that's all. Odd.
I think it was more out of just. I think it was straight strategy. But we get through those pits, that pit cycle. And by the end of the pit cycle, Larson ends up cycling back through to take the lead, and Wallace trails him by a second. And it doesn't change from that point on. Larson just rolls. Yeah. Larson just rolls. There's nothing else that happens in that stage. Larson just takes off and wins it. So Larson finishes first in the stage. Bubba Wallace gets second, needing those points because he's in a battle for the playoffs. Chase Briscoe third, also in a battle for the playoffs. Tyler Reddick fourth. He'll take the points. He's not in a battle though. Christopher Bell not in the battle. He's locked. Denny Hamlin's locked.
Well, Tyler Reddick was in the battle.
Seventh.
He was in a battle with himself.
Yeah, but he wasn't in a battle trying to get in.
He needs
Ty
the
Gibbs
points.
needed the points. He got 7th. William Byron 8th. Josh Berry 9th. Chris Buescher, who was battling 10th. So it wasn't all your blue collar guys up front at the end of stage one. Surprisingly, you had a good little mix here of veterans, mid-career guys, and younger guys. So
I just thought it was interesting though. Before even like stage 2 started, I could be wrong, but they already said about Martin Truex, and I'm like, the race isn't even over. How are you just gonna automatically bid him in there? Like, it was just very odd to me. I don't know if you saw that at all, if they talked about it.
So it's like when they do an election, man.
Yeah.
They're taking a guess based on how many points were available and how much time was left. And they said at the beginning of the race, they said mathematically he still should be able to make it, barring certain people don't win or other things happen throughout the race with the stage points being awarded. Basically, they knew before the race he needed to finish 18th or better, and he was
exactly.
So yeah, with him going out that early, they were just saying, okay, well, they took a guess, man. They took a guess and they were right. That's all I can say. They got some nerds back there running analytics for that kind of crap. But yes, so now that we just jumped to that, Martin Truex Jr., without winning a race this year, did lock himself up a spot in the championship very early in the race. It wasn't a guarantee, but it was foreshadowed and ended up working out. He ended up getting the last playoff spot going into or coming to the end of the regular season. So let's move on to stage 2 because it's a quick one to cover. Basically, here's how it goes. Kyle Larson and Bubba Wallace take the green flag to start stage 2. Chase Briscoe follows Larson and takes second place away. Larson runs for like 85 laps untouched. At lap 200, Larson still has the lead, and Briscoe's a little over a second behind him. Denny Hamlin does some rubbing with Byron. It was right around 10 laps to go in the stage. Hamlin's just fighting for points. He obviously doesn't need it, but he does. He loosens William up a little bit and takes away third place just for some stage points. And that's the end of stage 2. Kyle Larson wins. So finish order for stage 2 was Kyle Larson, Chase Briscoe, then Denny Hamlin, William Byron, Christopher Bell, Ty Gibbs up there getting more points than he needs, Josh Berry, Tyler Reddick, Bubba Wallace getting more points he needs, and Brad Keselowski. This race was incredibly quick and efficient. It really was. It was. Yeah, you didn't need all the cautions this race for it to be a good race. There was so much movement. During the race, you had so many times they were watching 3 different battles going on. And this is the best part about NASCAR. Why don't they do this regularly at Daytona at the opening race of the season? Why aren't they doing that? I mean, at Bristol, it's a little bit tougher. It's a short track, but we should have 3 screens on the screen all the time for NASCAR races. Why are you guys not doing this more? And this is me attacking NBC and Fox. And I actually think Fox's coverage is a little bit better than NBC's. Personally, I know this is it's a sensitive topic for NASCAR fans, but I think Fox is a little bit better.
Well, we're getting 3 next year for the because anyone saw the regular season. But yeah, maybe they need to listen to the next left turn and get it together, NASCAR, because you're gonna start losing fans.
Y'all just need to. Well, I'm more interested in this NASCAR channel that's coming.
I heard about this. Yeah, it's supposed to be like a free service, and they're kind of starting to copy a little bit on certain NHL teams that are going to do it. It's almost going to be like the Speed, but it's a little bit different.
Put all the races on that channel.
I know they have it with Motor Trend where they have like the shows, but they should just try to figure out a deal with NASCAR and put it on Motor Trend and make it like that. I feel like it's exactly what Speed is, or was, I should say. But yeah, boom.
I don't know, man. It's going to be interesting. We got the new. There's so much NASCAR news that dropped this week, and I was just too busy to get in touch with you to go over any of it. The new schedule came out for next year. I'm super jacked about the playoff schedule. There is a race I want to get rid of, but we're going to talk about that at the end of the season. But so there's more coming after we end the season. We'll have one more show before we wrap it up, and we'll cover a bunch of stuff going into next year. But no, I mean, it was this going into stage 3. It was like, for me, it felt more like, all right, this is the last thing I care about for over half these drivers until next year.
Oh yeah,
like I want to see something to get me jump on somebody new for next year with all the changes that are going to be happening. Obviously, I root for Penske, but I also root for other drivers and other teams. You know, I like Trackhouse a lot. If they would get rid of Suarez, I'd probably be a little bit happier. and pick somebody else up. Wood Brothers is definitely somebody I root for. And I'm going to have more cause to root for them next year with Josh Berry. I think he's going to be an improvement on Harrison Burton.
If Dale Jr. gives that seal of approve, that means he's a good driver. Most of the people coming from Junior Motorsports has done significantly better, like whether it's in the Cup or if we're with his team in Xfinity. So he has a pretty good track record.
And I derail here because I wanted to talk about Josh Berry for a minute, because we're going to talk about Josh Berry in stage 3. So in stage 1, he got 9th, and then in stage 2, he got 7th. Josh Berry, for a guy who has not won races this year, has been, for the most part, incredibly consistent. He had a rough start of the year, but the second half of this season for him has been so much more consistent. I mean, he's had races where he's unseen. I'm not saying he hasn't, but this is a guy who I think at 30 years old, and let's remember, he's much older than most of these other rookie drivers or these young drivers that are out here for his first year in the Cup Series. I think we're only going to see this guy go up and up and up. I don't think he's going to be a Jimmy Johnson or a Jeff Gordon or anything like that, but I could see this guy winning a championship down the road. Maybe not with Wood Brothers, but his ride after that, if he gets with the right team and the right setup, just because he's a little bit older. But I think he's going to be an impact driver week in and week out next season.
Yeah,
I think he's going to be something for Wood Brothers.
Yeah, he's almost looking like the 16 car for Roush back in the day in 05. My first driver ever that I really liked, Rick Biffle. He's looking like that.
Yeah, I mean, that's actually a great comp in my opinion. That's a fantastic comp, because Biffle was never a superstar, but he was always somebody there to mix things up and be in the way, add some extra drama. But that's why I was going back and talking about things that were not specific to this race. But let's move on to stage 3, because we do get some interesting happenings in stage 3. So stage 3 starts, green flag drops, and it's Larson and Briscoe are running side by side for the lead. It takes about a lap for these two to jostle around, but Larson finally gets a deep dive run on the inside of turn 1, and he clears Briscoe. And this is how it stays for a little bit, and basically until we get to the pit stops. About 95 laps left. Kyle Larson finally decides to hit the pits from the lead. This causes everybody else to start pitting in cycles. So Briscoe pits, then Hamlin pits. At this point, I'm thinking it's going to be Larson or Hamlin. Like, at this point in the race, that's where I'm at. Briscoe, to me, does not matter. He's not on my radar because he's not constantly in it. I mean, Wallace has still been hanging around all day long. I'm still looking for the Watermelon Man to make a move because his car looked beautiful today. And I will say this, best paint job on the track today was the number 1 Busch car. It looked awesome. Am I wrong?
No, I enjoyed
Anybody watching, tell me, am I wrong? Tell me who had a better paint scheme today for this race for the Southern 500 than Ross Chastain. Please get in the comments. I would love to hear your guys' opinions. Aaron, I think that's something we're going to start doing next year, is we're going to do best paint scheme each week.
Oh, interesting.
Something else for us to pay attention to. Just because, let's be honest, because when I was growing up, we didn't get all the different paint schemes all the time. Like, you had maybe 2 paint schemes per team a year, maybe. Usually it was 1. Now it's like Penske puts out every week. They put out the paint schemes out for all 3 cars every week on X. Because you know that Joey is almost always Pennzoil, but you never know which main sponsor is going to be on Blaney's car. And then you never know what Cindric's going to be driving. And every time Cindric drives, it completely changes his paint scheme. So, like, yes, I think that's something we're going to do next year. Is we're going to pick our favorite paint schemes every week.
I'm curious who's going to have the Hooters paint scheme, because I think them and Chase Elliott broke up. Which is why he had the Coca-Cola 9 car a few weeks ago. That's just what I heard. I'm not sure though.
That'd be horrible. Hooters, Wood Brothers. It makes sense.
That would be
Hooters,
cool.
Hooters is an old school sponsor for NASCAR, and Wood Brothers is one of the still old school, long-standing teams. That to me makes sense. If you're not going to be with an Elliott, you might as well be with Wood Brothers. Anyway,
I'd do it.
We detracted again. My apologies, ladies and gentlemen. Thanks for
That's
joining the
what makes
Variety
it
Sports
fun.
Network. In the next left turn this evening, doing basically a live react to the race tonight because, well, we didn't have a lot of time to prep for this one. But anyways, 95 laps to go is where we were at before I derailed. Larson pits. Then laps later, Briscoe pits, Hamlin pits, Wallace, Bell, Busch, bunch of other guys, they all pit. But we start seeing the strategy mix up here as well, too. All those guys didn't pit at the same time. But we start seeing different guys decide to go different things. So it's about 89 laps left is when Hamlin pits from the lead. And is this point? Yeah, it's this point that Larson cycles back up to the lead and Briscoe's in second, but he's like 2.5, 3 seconds behind. And we get for like 20 more laps and it's just racing. Just again, good, clean Darlington racing. A lot of passing. We got some paint getting traded here and there, but again, nothing egregious. Nobody acting crazy. But Hamlin is caught up to Briscoe at this point, and he works his way around him, and he gets in second place. But at this point, Larson's lead over Hamlin is like nearly 5 seconds. But this is where the strategy thing from earlier about how far apart the 5 or 10 lap difference they had in pit stops actually made a difference because Hamlin's actually on fresher tires and he's making ground this late in the run. But this all comes to a head when we get our accident for Carson Hocevar on lap 54. He ends up spinning out in turn 4 as he was running with Eric Jones. They run out a little bit of space. They get a little bit of a caution there. That bunches the field back up. Did you what did you think of this? I mean, this was a pretty simple, clean accident, right? I mean, did you think this was egregious?
No.
By any means?
I thought it was good.
I thought this was good racing.
Yeah, I just thought it was funny that Hocevar, it looked like he had a magnet to him because this isn't going to be the first time this has happened to him today in this race.
Well, here we go with the clip. We're going to see the little spin out again. It's nothing egregious, just side-by-side racing, loses the back end of the car.
Carson Hocevar, who started on the front row earlier today, losing control of the 77 all by himself.
He was underneath Eric Jones. Not sure if anything happened before they got to turn 3, but just underneath him, and he loses.
It sure doesn't look like it. I mean, I think it was probably just a aerodynamics thing.
Yeah.
I mean, it looks
Like
more
the
like
wind or something, or just
yeah,
way turn.
nothing crazy there. And how are you feeling with I'm having a brain fart. The guy calling the races.
I still love it.
I think he's doing great.
He was on Dale Jr. Download for Thursday, and it's just amazing how much he had to prepare for this because he wasn't really used to it, and then he had COVID for a little bit, so he had like extra prepare, and just he said he was watching pretty much all the races I think for this year, just so he can kind of get everyone like driver wise, like what strategies they use. So I thought it was very enjoyable. Solid week again for him.
I think he's doing a fantastic job picking the sport up for something he's never called. I am thoroughly enjoying his calls.
Yep.
I've
always you would be used to him though, right? Because of Indy and stuff.
Yeah, but still, with the first race he did, it bothered me, not because of him, but his voice calling this kind of racing bothered me because it's something I'm not used to. I hear him and I think open wheel, but he's doing a really good job. He brings a dynamic approach to the way he calls it. The victories, the starts, the restarts. You hear in his voice, he loves his job. Doesn't matter what kind of racing he's calling. It sounds fantastic.
And
So
I'm curious to see what he does on the motocross front because he also does commentary for motocross. I'm interested just to see how he handles that.
dude, he's gonna be fine. He's gonna probably fine.
Oh no, he does
he's gonna
it.
bring
No,
it.
he does motocross. I just never watch it. I'm just curious to how he calls that as well.
Oh, I didn't know he already did it. Well, I'm sure he adds a sense of class to the call. that would be my guess. But anyways, after that quick little accident, host before they get cleaned up from Hocevar spinning out, we drop the green flag. It's Larson and Hamlin once again. They are side by side. They go into turn one. They do some rubbing. We know Rubbin's racing here on the next left turn. Larson does clear Hamlin back out on 4 and takes the lead. And we get back to racing. Now we're inside 50 laps. It's about to get hot and heavy. It's win and you're in. There are guys that are eligible and that are within striking distance at this point in the race. We're gonna see some action, but we're counting on it. Well, with about 46 laps left to go, Gilliland and Busher end up getting a little wide off turn 2. Busher bounces off the wall. He ends up hooking Gilliland. Gilliland goes round and round. The caution comes back out. I thought we were just going to have like a good solid 50 laps, and we didn't.
I really thought Gillen was going to win this one. He didn't get spun out. Oh man.
But I don't actually have a clip of that one for you guys.
It wasn't really anything crazy. I think he clipped him in the back and then he just kind of spun. Like there wasn't anything too crazy. Yeah.
It wasn't anything super exciting. So a lot of the leaders stay out, and then from 9th place back hits the pits. And this is where things get super interesting because guys are now placing bets on the rest of their seasons. Christopher Bell is the first guy with fresh tires in the starting order when they come back. At this point, I think Wallace is in 7th. Reddick is behind him in 8th for this restart, if I'm thinking of the right
I believe
one.
so, yeah.
And all the commentary is talking about, can Wallace get enough gap so that those newer tires don't eat him up? And that was the big cause because, I mean, Wallace had such a good race. He was up there all day long. They thought he was going to be able to win and get in this race. Unfortunately, it doesn't happen for him. But he was definitely in position. The team did the right thing. They set that car up for victory for him to pursue the playoffs. He gets to take the next 10 races for more experience and get ready for next season. He's going to be something next year. He's going to be scary next year. But anyways, back to the race. Green flag drops. Larson jumps off the bat, and he is gone into turn 1. Briscoe and Hamlin jostle side by side for 2nd place. Briscoe ends up winning the battle coming out of turn 2, running down the backstretch with about 35 laps to go. So we're talking in a time of 9 laps. Christopher Bell, with the new tires, has gone from 9th to 4th place. And he's only 1.6 seconds behind. This is where I start thinking Christopher Bell's going to come and steal another one. Like, it's not going to be Larson because Larson stayed out. Right? So I'm like, oh, he's going to get it. Gibbs is going to get another freaking W. I'm so tired of Gibbs winning this year.
You're more tired of Gibbs than Hendricks.
I know. It's so odd, too. Like, I never thought I would say that. But Carson Hocevar has something to say about all this going on. So with 32 laps left in the race, Carson Hocevar is into the wall after getting a flat tire. He brings out a caution. And now it's all those cautions we were anticipating early in the race. They're all coming in the 3rd stage. So we're not getting any consistency, some flow. We end up having more guys jet down to the pit lanes on this one. Ross Chastain stays out because he has to win to get in. There's no way he can collect enough points. So he plays his gamble. Larson ends up winning the race off pit road. So he gets out 2nd place. But Chastain gets the jump, clears Larson on the restart into turn 1. Briscoe takes Larson and Gibbs 3 wide into 2. Briscoe clears them. This is the game-changing moment in the entire race. This is where everything, just took a major turn. I got the move. This is the one right here. Yeah, it is. Boom. I
Yep.
got it. This is the move right here that changed absolutely everything.
Here goes Briscoe on the inside. The big move from Chase Briscoe. This could be the difference between making the playoffs or not. Wow. Here goes.
I mean, that move was absolutely cinematic. That's the best word I have for that one. It was cinematic.
He's saying it's
That-
cinematic, folks, because Kyle Larson got beat by Briscoe.
For the second time in his career. We're going to touch on that too because I got a little throwback clip. I have this clip. No, that one's later in the race. Hold on. I thought I played my clips out of order here.
And also, too, Christopher Bell won the Xfinity Series yesterday, so that's probably also why you were a little nervous.
Well, yeah, because he
jumped from 9 to 4.
He also said that he picked up something yesterday in the Xfinity car that he thought he could have used in this race this evening. So, anyways, we get the green flag. Chastain clears. Briscoe makes that crazy move we just saw, and in no time he has worked around Chastain. He just has no chance. Well, at least we don't think he's got a chance at that point because he didn't go in. He didn't get the newer tires. But we get one more good accident that comes out here. It's Josh Berry. We were talking about Josh Berry earlier. This is going to bring it full circle now. Josh Berry makes an aggressive move, goes three wide into turn one. He ends up running out of room, and it happens with a quickness. He ends up sliding up into Ty Gibbs. Gibbs and Berry end up both sliding. Austin Dillon, Bubba Wallace gets collected in this. William Byron, Noah Gragson gets collected. Caution comes out. It's the big one, and it's not all that big, but it's a big enough accident that it just messed everything up. You had a bunch of guys in this little group that were fighting for the playoff position. Here we go.
And look at this, 3 wide. Wow, we got a caution. Multi-car incident. Ty Gibbs, Josh Berry, Bubba Wallace, it's over. Wallace's playoff hopes.
And Bubba would have been fine, but I believe it was Daniel
William
Suarez
Byron's car is torn apart.
and then Gragson hit him, so Bubba would have been all right. He could have avoided this.
Probably.
But it was just because Daniel Suarez hit into him because he hit William Byron. They beat each other a little bit, and then it looked like he was fine. But yeah, praise about Josh Berry. Then he pulls this stuff. And I'm like, come on, man.
Don't be like that. Here we go. Here's another look at it. This is from Buscher's point of view. See, everybody kind of starts spinning, tangling. He works his way through. Hold on, I got another one. I had some pretty good clips on this one, so I want to bring these out to you guys. This one's going to be Josh Berry and Bubba Wallace for this accident. Berry's on the top, Wallace on the bottom. I mean, that first impact is enough for Wallace to see he was done at that point. Or done for contention.
Yep. Good season for him. Had a lot of bad luck. Bad luck, Bubba. But
well, bad luck, Bubba does bring some of that bad luck upon himself. From time to time. I'm not saying all the time. He doesn't always put himself in the best positions. And then sometimes he's in the perfect position and bad luck actually gets him. So it is what it is. It's part of racing. Let's just be real.
And I wonder how Michael Jordan felt because he was here today because he wasn't sure whether Tyler Reddick or Bubba was either going to win or get in the playoffs. And he showed up to Darlington today, and I guess Tyler Reddick was the only good one near the end of the race. But
I mean,
because I don't know what happened if Bubba didn't get hit, but Tyler Reddick finished, pretty good for 23:11. But
yeah, I mean, I get what you're saying, but I mean, this is why it's a long season, man. You can't blame everything on one race.
It's true.
That's all I'm going to say about that. because you got a story from every guy who did not make the playoffs that it was one race. Maybe not every guy, but half the guys didn't make the playoffs. Oh, it was
For
one
one
thing.
guy,
One
it was a full season.
Yeah. So we get to this next restart, and it's almost the same situation as the last restart. The front 8 cars are on older tires. The 9th car has fresh tires. The guy with fresh tires, Rowdy. Mr. Rowdy, Kyle Busch, has fresh tires. And at this point, I'm thinking, this dude has been electric the last 4 weeks. His team has put him in positions to win, and he wants the W. Like, I was like, this is going to be an exciting end. Because, recap what happened last week, Busch had the opportunity to go for the W, decided to race clean, not wreck the man in front of him, and which was Harrison Burton, and ends up not getting locked into the playoffs. He's in that same position again this week. Do you think if he got close enough, do you think he was willing to put the bumper to him?
It's winning, you're all in. So yeah,
exactly. I would have done the same thing. I wouldn't even blame him.
They wouldn't have penalized him because I keep seeing on Twitter all these NASCAR either accounts or people that watch it or cover it. It's only because Austin Dillon hit 2 cars. If he just hit Joey Logano, it would have been all right. So I think if Kyle Busch did, hit Chris Buescher at that point in time and won it, I don't think there would have been any problem because it's Kyle Busch.
I kind of agree with a lot of those people, though. It was because Hamlin got hit is the reason he got dinged up. I think the run against Logano was egregious beyond a reasonable doubt, but that's just my personal opinion. So I think honestly, I think it is because he took Hamlin. If he would have taken Hamlin out and he could have found a way to win without wrecking Hamlin, I think nothing would have been said. Just being honest, from everything else I've read. But it's not here or there, and that was last week's race. So we get to the green flag. Briscoe gets a great jump, and he clears everyone before turn 1. Bell goes to second right away from Larson, and then Larson instantly he's out. And it's not even the guys with the fresh tires took him and pushed him back. He just didn't have a good jump. Kyle Busch jumps up real fast, goes 3 wide, and he gets into 4th place before we even get 1 lap off the restart. With 16 laps left to go, Kyle Busch is continuing to move up through the field. He gets the 3rd, and he passed Kyle Larson without issue. Just jetted him. He gets up to Christopher Bell, excuse me. This is Kyle Busch gets up to Christopher Bell and takes 2nd with no problem there either. At this point, it's can Briscoe hold on for the next 13, 14, 15 laps to win and get in. Well, with 15 laps to go, he's got a 6/7 of a second lead. With 5 laps later, Busch is 3.5 car lengths off of him. Briscoe is running for the race of his life at this point, and he's been in this position before. Let me show you. Let me show you. It's a little throwback clip. It's old. We've been in this position. I'm going to set the mood for you here. It's 2020. There's no fans. This is Xfinity Series racing, ladies and gentlemen. But we've been here before. What you're going to see in this number 98 High Point car is Chase Briscoe. What you're going to see in this number 54 M&M car is Kyle Rowdy Busch.
Got him looking. You asked about that mirror. What do? He definitely was looking in the mirror, changed his line, moved up, went into the bottom, gave that opportunity. Oh, he's in the fence.
White flag
this is
out.
4 years ago.
To go. Brought to you by Credit One
at Darlington.
Bank. Kyle Busch to the inside, takes over the top spot from Chase Briscoe. And here comes the 98 the outside lane, tapping the wall. What a race off of turn 2. Chase Briscoe trying to hold off Kyle Busch. One last try for the 54. He's the all-time wins leader. Can he get there? Briscoe in the high lane. Kyle Busch down low. Back to the start-finish line at Darlington. It's Chase Briscoe who wins it. What a...
Okay, so I bring you that to bring you this. Now, 4 years later, these two dudes are at it again. And let's put it this way. every lap, Busch is catching up. We get to like 6 laps left. And Busch goes to run a different line. He loses a little bit of ground to Briscoe, and Briscoe goes back to running the high line and gives himself a little bit of separation. But by the last lap, Rowdy is there. He is there again, and he is knocking on the door, trying to take away Chase Briscoe's dream. Again, this is SHR's last season as a team. I think Tony Stewart got the Southern 500 here a while back in the 14 car, the Old Spice 14 car. So this is very symbolic, very meaningful for this team, for this driver. Here's their last lap and a quarter.
Now look at Kyle Busch on that low line, and he hits the wall. Briscoe hits the wall. There is nothing between these two at the end of 500 miles.
Here we go.
1 lap to go, presented by Credit One Bank.
And Busch is in good position. You'd think he'll be able to get a run.
Hang on.
Especially here, right here. I'm
something?
thinking he's going to get it.
Both guys are going to break a very long winless streak. But who will it be?
And he dives here.
Busch throwing everything at Chase Briscoe he can. It's a win, and you're in. And the 29-year-old from Mitchell, Indiana, Chase Briscoe wins the...
Chase Briscoe wins the Southern 500.
Insane.
Great call there at the end, too. Great call. So that's just... I mean, it's... That's it. Briscoe
Can't
wins
write it
at the
any
end.
better than that.
You can't write any better than that. So with this settling, Tyler Reddick gets the regular season championship for the 2311 team, and his Monster Beast, Monster Energy, Monster everything car that he drives on that car, because I don't know all the sponsors. But Tyler Reddick is your 2024 regular season NASCAR champion, and will have a seat at the table going to the playoffs.
I
Ty
hope his
Gibbs
car
locked
is
up.
okay.
It'll be fine. They got him.
You know what I mean. He had a little accident day.
Just a little bit. Now I want to show you guys. Here's the field for, if I can blow this thing up. Here we go. Here we go. Here's the field. We have Kyle Larson in the playoffs, Christopher Bell, Tyler Reddick, William Byron, Ryan Blaney, Denny Hamlin, Chase Elliott, Brad Keselowski, Joey Logano, Austin Cindric, Daniel Suarez, Alex Bowman, and these four, well, 3 of these 4 got locked in today. Chase Briscoe with his W, Harrison Burton with his W last week, Ty Gibbs, and Martin Truex Jr. That is your playoff 16 for this year's 2024 NASCAR playoffs. What do you think about that?
It's definitely interesting, the certain drivers that are in there. And you can definitely tell with the drivers that were already in there that they've been kind of coasting ever since they got their victory. So it's going to be interesting to see if they're going to turn up or if they're going to get eliminated really quick just because their car isn't that great. They maybe got a little bit lucky on their win. Who knows? And no, I'm not just talking about Harrison Burton. There are other drivers in there that have secured wins, and they really haven't been doing much.
So let's be honest. Cindric, Suarez, Burton, Briscoe. You could take those guys out, and I think we'd have a better playoff if you insert some few other dudes.
Yeah.
In my opinion.
Yeah. I mean, Burton's not probably going to survive the round of 16. So is Suarez. So.
Yeah, I think those two are gone, and I think either Cindric or Briscoe are out after the first round.
Yeah. Yep, I can see that.
Or maybe all 4 of those guys. I don't know how many 4 guys get eliminated after the first round, right?
Yep, because it goes to the round of 12.
Okay, so we're gonna say Cindric, Suarez, Burton, and Briscoe are all eliminated in the first round.
Yeah, because it's Atlanta, Watkins Glen, and Bristol. Boom. So I don't see any of those guys at least having that great of finishes of these 3 tracks.
You know what? Suarez could do Watkins Glen.
Well, you know what? Yeah, I guess it's true because he did win in Brazil when they were off for the 2 weeks. He won that road course, so it's possible.
And he's a road course racer anyways. So, yeah. I mean, I just wouldn't put it past him. So there's two drivers that didn't make the playoffs that I want to give a little shout out to, and that is Kyle Busch and Chris Buescher. These two dudes have the biggest argument with NASCAR, as in they were so close this year, both of them, to winning races to not make the playoffs. I want to show you this picture real quick.
By 0.2 seconds, I would assume. Right?
There's one of them right here.
Damn. Yep. Which we talked about, Atlanta. When
Yep.
we,
That's Suarez getting his W. So just think about trade those two out. And who is down here on the bottom? Was that Blaney?
can't really see. Don't remember.
I can't remember either. Hold on, let me scroll over here. Oh, Austin Dillon. It was Austin Dillon. No, it wasn't. Hold on. All right, these people are talking nonsense. Anyways, this is the one that Daniel Suarez one where it could have been Rowdy. And then you got Larson getting Buescher on this one here. So, I mean, disappointing season for those guys. Bubba Wallace, too. Just not being able to. I mean, that's just those are some tough races to lose. Just tough races to lose. Yeah, tough races to lose. That there's nothing else.
So speaking of we're going to the playoffs, do you have? I mean, it's definitely early, but do you have a specific driver that you think is going to win the Cup, the Winston Cup? I'm going to call it the Winston Cup because that seems more appropriate.
I love the Winston Cup.
Yeah, will it be Ryan Blaney repeating, or we have another driver coming in?
Man, Christopher Bell.
Oh, that's a good. That's actually a pretty good pick, to be honest. He was in the Final Four last year.
I just got a feeling about this kid, man. He just finds a way to be there. I like his attitude. So I'm going to say Christopher Bell, Kyle Larson, Denny Hamlin. I'm going to say Ryan Blaney. Those are my final four.
Let me figure out since we're doing Final Fours here.
Hey, we're just doing this off the cuff. These aren't official.
Yeah. I actually, honestly, my first one would be Tyler Reddick.
Ooh,
I've been talking about him a lot. He has the most top tens, and I think he's either the most top fives or the second most top fives this year. So I'll go Tyler Reddick, even though he had a little bit of tummy issues. And then, yeah, probably Kyle Larson. You have to throw him in there just because of what he's been doing. Christopher Bell will be my third. And then my fourth, I'll have to go Chase Elliott just because I think maybe, one is my guy, but two, I think he's just been he's one of those drivers that I was talking about that's been just been coasting and waiting for the playoffs. So I think he's finally ready to go. I mean, he has one of the best pit crews, so I'm not really worried about that. And he finished 11th today after being, I think, at 1.2 laps down Darlington. So I think he's got a good shot.
He does. He's got a great team. He's on a great team with great motors, great technology, and that pit crew is fantastic. So
9.4 seconds. Boom.
They are ridiculous. So next week, Atlanta. We open up the playoffs in Atlanta. It's gonna be a big one.
Oh yeah.
I mean, I don't even have a prediction for next week.
I don't think it's gonna be close, but I'm not sure.
I mean, I'd put Larson up there for it. In all honesty, right off the bat.
Yeah.
Bubba. I can see Bubba getting a W now that he's out of the playoffs.
That's how funny would that be, though? He's just like, I'm just gonna win right here, even though it doesn't really mean anything.
Even Rowdy at Atlanta.
I can see that too.
So I mean, I think there's just so many possibilities. But I'm excited for it. It's next Sunday, 3:00 Eastern, 2:00 Central Time. It's going to be lightning race, man. It's still going to be hot in Atlanta, so it's not going to be there's not going to be extra speed from cooler track temperatures or anything. So it's going to be a great race, man. I'm really looking forward to it. I think these playoffs are going to be a lot of fun. We got 10 races left to get to the end of the season and to crown a champion. Let's get through the playoff order real quick. So Kyle Larson is going to start first for the playoffs, followed by Christopher Bell, then Tyler Reddick, William Byron, Ryan Blaney is 5th, Denny Hamlin 6th, Chase Elliott 7th. And guys, these points are separated by 4, 2, 3, 1 points apiece separation here. Brad Keselowski 8th, Joey Logano 9th, Austin Cindric 10th, Daniel Suarez is going to start 11th in the playoffs. Alex Bowman 12th. Chase Briscoe, tonight's winner, gets 13th. Harrison Burton, last week's winner, gets 14th. Ty Gibbs gets in without a win. And Martin Truex Jr., our old vet, in his last full-time season as the NASCAR Cup Series, will be starting 16th and in the final spot for the playoffs. This is it. This is what we've been going all season for. We're getting into the nitty-gritty of it. We're going to see some road courses. We're going to see a roval. We're going to see a lot of ovals. We're going to see every kind of track we have. We're going to get to see it except for a street course. We will get a road course, but no street courses for the playoffs. It's going to be something else, ladies and gentlemen. Aaron, any final thoughts on this race or going into next week?
I got a big prediction. I think William Byron's going to take the dub in Atlanta next week. You can book it. He's won the last two. Yeah, well, Skip Bayless, book it. He's won the last 2. So I got William Byron on that one. Also, too, the number 88 car has returned. Shane Van Gisbergen is full-time, so you can guarantee at least he's going to win 3-4 races next year. Some road courses. Yeah, all the road courses. So that's good. And Dale Jr. Respects it with the 88 car. He said just keep passing down the torch. So that's some good news right there. Kurt Busch found out he was arrested for a Dewey. And I'm only saying it because he was a consultor for 2311. So it kind of stinks for, Busch Series champion Kurt Busch. I think that's all that I know so far. But everyone get your popcorn race. It's going to be some fun racing. And as always, make sure you like, subscribe, download, do whatever you do for Variety Sports Network. Hit that little bell in the corner when we go live, because we're going to be going live for all the playoffs. Don't forget to hit the comments. Hit the comment section. Tell anybody that you know about the racing. Just check it out. We're just here to have a good time.
Absolutely. So we will be Sundays here on out. Unless we have a Sunday night race, which I don't think we do the back half of the season.
I think we have one. That's it, though.
But it's not the last one, which is all that really matters.
No.
So we will be here every Sunday night, 9 o'clock. I know that interferes with football. Don't worry. I won't be offended if you're not here with us live. I just expect you to watch on Monday while you're at work, or Tuesday, since there is Monday Night Football. Just get to us by Tuesday. That's all I ask.
Hit the like button. Hit the like button.
Well, yeah, hit the
most important for the algorithm.
But most of y'all have been here with us all season. We greatly appreciate it. I've learned so much this season. I hope y'all have learned something, or at least had some fun with us. But it's playoff time, baby. So get ready to rock and roll. We'll see you guys here next Sunday night. I hope you all have a blessed week. Take care.